a big old body there. Look, this is a kid that we saw get after it for Kentucky. He played 22 minutes a game. He was certainly a role player for them, had some valuable minutes. When you look at this for Boston, does this make sense for them right now as they just traded away Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis?
We're at the point in the draft where I don't have anyone on my board who I consider a definite NBA player, meaning they're going to be on a roster next year. And given that scenario, Amari Williams is a player who has the tools to be intriguing because he's got size, length, mobility, and ball skills, because he can really handle and pass the basketball. Before he got to Kentucky, he played at Drexel, and prior to that, he grew up in the United Kingdom, where some say he was even a point guard. So he can handle and pass the basketball. The problem is he can't shoot right now. So he can move, he can protect the rim, and you can run some five-out offense, which Boston has liked to do. So there's enough thread there to pull and see if you can make something out of it, which at this point in the draft is, I think, the best you're going to do.
Yeah, 10.9 points, 8.5 rebounds in that final year of college. He did 5 years of college basketball, first at Drexel, like you mentioned, then at Kentucky. 7 foot, 7'6" wingspan. He's going to play drop coverage and play that well. But when you get him out on the perimeter, things can get a little difficult for him. And like Fink said, he's a total non-shooting threat at this point in his career. And though we have seen some other bigs that we've said that about, often it's the 19-year-old or the 20-year-old. This is a 23-year-old, 5-year college player who still has shown no ability to stretch the floor at all. So it's reasonable to be skeptical he'll ever be able to do that in any sort of meaningful way.
I will say this, he's got an opportunity. They just traded Porzingis. Al Horford's my age. Luke Cornett's coming up. I mean, there's an opportunity there to go try and be a third-string center, maybe even a backup.
Is there a player that you would have taken differently here in this spot for Boston?
There's two players. In the end of the first round, they took Hugo Gonzalez. Liam McNeely would have been the pick for me. And then early in the second, they moved that pick. Now, they got 4 second-rounders, but I thought there was a clear pro on the board in Ryan Kalkbrenner. Both of those players, McNeely and Kalkbrenner, could have stepped in and been, I believe, rotation guys next year for a Celtics team that is having to shed contracts to get out of that second apron and all the penalties that go along with it. So McNeely and Kalkbrenner, I thought would have been an ideal scenario for the Celtics. They opted to go with 2 more defensive-oriented picks. We'll have to see how that goes.
And then subsequent to the earlier pick, that's when Maxim Reynaud came off the bench. If you're Boston, rather, in theory, it'd have been awesome if he dropped to you, but he was off the board by the time they selected at 46.
All right, so Amari Williams headed to the Boston Celtics. Boston has 1 more remaining selection for now, 57th overall. And, of course, any updates here throughout the night in the NBA draft as we get closer and closer to the finality of the NBA draft here. As you take a look at the last 5 selections, Adam, who's 47 here? What do we know about this young man here from Serbia? Anything? We got anything on this guy?
Well, this is going to be a pick that when you look at the Bucks, they are totally depleted of young assets, and they are trying to find somebody. And so Markovic is a player who's potentially going to be able to play multiple positions, potentially going to be able to defend a little bit, defend multiple positions, and hopefully provide some spacing as they continue to be committed to building around Giannis. But again, at this point in the draft, I don't see any surefire NBA players. So do they stash him? Do they let him continue to develop abroad? Do they bring him over here, let him play summer league, see if he can get into camp and maybe make the team? It'll be interesting. This is also a contract situation where you have to decide what type of deal you give him. Do you give him a 2-way, or do you let him go earn more money in Europe?
We'll have continued updates throughout the night as the second round of the NBA draft continues here on CBS Sports HQ, presented by Jeep. 2 of the NBA draft on the clock, presented by Jeep. Hakeem Dermish here with 24/7 Sports Director of Scouting Adam Finkelstein and CBS Sports College Basketball Insider Gary Parrish. And with the 34th selection, the Charlotte Hornets take Ryan Kalkbrenner out of Creighton. The big man was a force for the Blue Jays. 107 dunks last season, led Division I, a guy who can get to the bucket, and a guy that's going to defend well. 4-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year. He is headed to the Charlotte Hornets. And Adam, they just traded away Amari Williams to the Suns. Now it's like a plug and play here. Your grade for this pick is what?
I think this is a pretty clear A, and it's consistent with what the Hornets have done for the last 48 hours. Remember, Liam McNeely, I thought, was the steal of the first round to get him late in that spot. And now to get Ryan Kalkbrenner early in the second round, I thought Kalkbrenner was a first-round caliber talent. So the Hornets are cleaning up here. Kalkbrenner is a drop coverage monster, so he's not going to have versatility in the way he plays pick and roll. But because of his size, his length, his standing reach, he's going to clog the paint and be a constant deterrent, just like we saw at Creighton. Really a master of verticality who doesn't need to be a great leaper to protect the rim. And let's be honest, Charlotte is going to need it because although they've drafted really well, there are significant defensive questions. Also give him credit for two other things. One, he's played in an advanced offensive playbook at Creighton. He knows how to run good stuff and he can step right in and do it. And secondly, he's durable. And in Charlotte, of all places, that is a key factor. This is a big body that has proven he can stay healthy, and that is critical in today's NBA. It is especially critical for the Hornets.
Yeah, he's already 23 years old. He played 5 years of college basketball, so he should be capable of a plug-and-play situation. We need you on the court almost on night one. 7'1", the 7'6" wingspan, 9'4" standing reach, 4-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Fink, you said it exactly right. I think some people hear Defensive Player of the Year and they think, oh wow, he's that versatile defensive big that we hear so much about. This is not Victor Wembanyama. He is going to excel in drop coverage, but when he does get switched onto smaller players, he can get exploited in that situation. But still, we maybe got away from it in the height of the Warriors dynasty, but we're getting back to it now. Traditional centers matter. Big people matter. The Lakers tried to play in the playoffs without one and got destroyed. The Oklahoma City just won a title starting two bigs. They got away from that early in that series, but eventually got back to it. You need big people like Ryan Kalkbrenner. I, like Fink, thought he was going to go in the first round. If I'm Charlotte, I'm thrilled he fell to this spot.
Yeah, how about this class here for Charlotte? I mean, already, I'm going to say they're a winner. I mean, Con Knipple at 4, that was obviously a slam dunk. You get Liam McNeely late, you make that pick, and then Sion James right before Ryan Kalkbrenner. These are nice pieces to get in the second round, Adam.
Yeah, Sion James is an NBA player, and I don't say that lightly. To get 2 second-round picks and be confident that they are both NBA players is a win. Sion James embraces what it means to be a role player. That's why he went to Duke last year. He came from Tulane where he put up big numbers, and he said, you know what, I'm going to go play with Cooper Flagg. I know all the eyeballs of college basketball are going to be on me, and I'm going to play the same role at Duke that I could conceivably play in the NBA. So if I can prove that I can do it, NBA scouts are going to pay attention. And you know what? That's exactly what happened, and it happened from the NBA franchise that just happens to be the closest to Duke.
And it's a really smart approach that I think other people could learn from. So often, I think prospects believe, I got to score 18 points per game. I've got to lead somebody in scoring.
Yes.
I've got to go get 30. My favorite stat fact from previous NBA drafts